easiest way you can market and get a market is by networking. And then
Hmm.
the thing that everybody who networks does after the meeting, they all go on LinkedIn, they all connect.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so happy to be here with you again this week, and I'm bringing you an incredible guest here today. So excited to introduce you to Elaine Walsh-McGrath. And Elaine is incredible. She popped into the Modern Direct Seller Academy and shared her expertise on LinkedIn. And we loved it so much. I said, Elaine, please come on the podcast and so we can share this with even a broader audience. So thank you, Elaine, for being here. How is your day going?
Oh, so good. And all the better for being here with you today. I'm so excited and get ready to geek out all about LinkedIn. So,
Yes.
yay.
Oh, well, I am here for it. Why don't you just kick things off and share a little bit about your story? How did you become a LinkedIn expert? Tell us more about this.
Well, I think what the main message I want your listeners to take out of my journey is that you need to trust your journey and that you can pretty much become whatever you want. Because
I love that.
I think that's really important that we have complete control of our journey and complete control of the narrative that we share on LinkedIn, for example, and online. So I want you to really think about this because I'm going to share with you my crazy journey.
Yes, tell us. Tell us.
Okay. So I spent like 20 years working in ad agencies. Both anyone who's watching will see that behind me there's a ticky. So from when I lived in New Zealand and in
Uh-huh.
Ireland, I started off my career as a TV buyer. Now listen, that's not like I didn't work in a store selling TVs or buying TVs. No, I worked in an agency and I was responsible for to get the spots to air. So I would pay the client's budget at the time, Budweiser, to get their commercials to air. So, like, that's how I started out. But I always wanted to have my own business,
Mhm.
and it was a passion of mine. So I kept going through marketing. I went up the ranks, moved to New Zealand, worked on huge brands like I already name dropped Budweiser, but L'Oreal, MasterCard, Burger King, Colgate, and loads of local brands. Like I launched the Harry Potter movies in New Zealand. So like we're
What?
talking big, right? In the last 10 years, I worked, 13 years, I worked with Kofi Annan, like big projects, big names, won awards, for example, with Kenko for their work on coffee versus gangs, where we sent a journalist from Ireland to the coffee fields in Colombia. And we spoke and interviewed kids who had gotten out of gangland and gotten themselves into a safer environment. So, like, whoa, how did I get to
Yeah.
here, right?
Yeah.
Well, I always wanted my own business. So I have had a variety of side hustles that became entrepreneurial ventures and they have served me well. I've learned something from them every single time that I've, opened a business, tried something. I had a social events business. I had a six-figure consultancy business working in advertising. And then I had my daughter. So back
Hmm.
in 2017, I had my daughter. And when she arrived, we discovered she had Down syndrome. So I was working on like huge accounts at the time, Volkswagen, like Dublin Airport, like just massive, huge
Yeah.
accounts. After like 15 months of having Shifra with me, hanging out with her, I was like, I don't know that I can go back to this. It just didn't suit my life. So
Right.
I'd had businesses that I suited my life but weren't financially successful. Now, then I had a really financially successful business, like super successful, but it just
Mm-hmm.
didn't suit my life. So I was like, how can I get something that works in both ways? And so I went on a further journey
Uh-huh.
to find that. And in December 21 into January 2022, I came back to LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, right. How can I find clients here? It turned out really easily.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, right. They're waiting for
Right.
you.
So I just leaned into my
Uh-huh.
previous experience. I made
Yeah.
sure that my LinkedIn profile was smoking hot.
Uh-huh.
And I created an offer all around my previous experience on how to grow a client business and how to market your business using social media. Okay. And I signed up clients, like a lot of clients.
Yeah.
But the more I kind of got into it, the more I realized that I wasn't referable. And so I had to really hone down my message. And so when I honed down my message, I was like doing like workshops on LinkedIn and people were getting great results from them, sometimes even from my free stuff. People were
Yeah. Yeah.
landing clients from my free webinars on LinkedIn. And I just went, okay, maybe this is what I should do. I should really niche down. And this is what I tell my clients all the time: niche down, make it really easy for people to refer you and recommend you, you know? I did some work with a copy coach, and she was like, Elaine, you've got to just niche down. And I was like, oh, but I have that real alchemist mind. I love to do different things. So I was like,
Right.
I don't know. And then I just went for it.
Yeah.
And so for the last 2 years, I've been really developing my LinkedIn product, my techniques. I've been teaching both one-to-one, and I've been showing people how to use their content to get clients. And that is how I've done it, like literally
Yeah.
one step at a time, one piece of the journey at a time. And that's what I really recommend that other people who are growing their business do, that they start to really notice, what do I love? What
Hmm.
drains me? What can I get to work with my life? My daughter just had an operation, a really great, successful operation. I've been able to dial my client business down. I've been able to do my calls with my membership. Everybody's getting served. Everyone is happy. I'm making money. Life is good, you know? So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so that's why I love LinkedIn. I think it's a really great environment for people, and it's commercial, you know, it's evolved. It's a good place to be as a business. And I also really enjoy teaching people how they can grow their business on it.
Oh, I love your journey on so many levels. And I think our timeline is very much in parallel. I was thinking about that. You're like 2017, my kids are 9 and 11. And I feel like around that same time, I was like, hold up, like chasing this corporate ladder. Like, is this the path that I want to be? Actually, maybe not. Maybe I want to switch things up. And so I love just that message around being in control of your journey. And one place you can take control of it is right there on LinkedIn, a free platform that we have available to us. So I think I know the answer to the next question, but I'll ask you anyway. Do you think direct sellers belong on LinkedIn? Is that a platform that the direct sales industry should be looking at?
Yes, on so many levels, obviously. Like, I'm sure we'll get into it later on as well, because I bet you we'll have to talk about LinkedIn as a platform. But
Yeah,
let's just think about it. Your natural network, your business network. If you do online networking as any kind of like a way to grow your business, because quite often direct sellers, they might have had a previous career, they might have
right.
done something else, and now life has changed a little bit, or they have found a product that they adore and they believe in it so much that they're like, oh, I want to sell this as well,
Yeah,
right? And so if they're like, okay, well, hang on a second though, I'm like, I'm not a marketer, for example, which I
hmm
mean, who is?
hmm
A small handful of people, yeah. How can I get the message out there? Well, the easiest way you can market and get a market is by networking. And then
Hmm.
the thing that everybody who networks does after the meeting, they all go on LinkedIn, they all connect. And so, as a direct seller, if you do either of those activities,
Yeah.
then you must be on LinkedIn. And completely separate to this and completely separate to actually my journey with LinkedIn is that I used to say, like, it was almost like the hill that I would die on, you know? I would say to people, if you do nothing in marketing, if you do no social media whatsoever, the very least you should do is create a LinkedIn
A
profile.
LinkedIn
Because if you
profile.
don't
Yes.
have a website, and a lot
Uh-huh.
of direct sellers don't. A lot of
Right.
direct sellers have sometimes corporate rules around
Yep.
what they can do and what they can't do. Yeah. Having a LinkedIn profile, oh my goodness, like just kind of going, okay, I call it my get found framework. Like just
Yeah.
calling out to people, oh, this is the problem, and telling them how you can solve it. Like a great like photo looking really approachable and a way of contacting you. And when people Google your name, that's one of the first things that's going to come up. So
Yes.
if they do nothing else with LinkedIn, if they don't do content, if they do nothing else, they should at least do that. And everything else can just help, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I definitely think it is a great place to be for a direct seller, not just for customers, but to be found, but also if they're wanting to grow a team. And
Absolutely.
so I see some really clever direct sellers on LinkedIn showing both sides, showing their
Mhm.
passion for the product, but also showing how it's impacted their lives in terms of the things that they've been able to do as a result of being a direct seller. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this so much. And I feel like I hear a couple things in the LinkedIn space from direct sellers. It's either, oh, I do have a profile and I never look at it, or it's I have a profile, but all of my connections are people from my corporate life. Like they're different people. Like they're in this box separate from the rest of the world. Like those were my contacts back when I, went to that day job. So I think it's an interesting place to play. And in many ways, maybe a little underrated that we're not talking about it as much as we're talking about Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or other platforms because you're building a business in direct sales and LinkedIn is designed for people building businesses. And so for some reason, I think we've avoided LinkedIn. And I know for me personally, I asked you this in the masterclass, like, Elaine, tell me, are there rules for LinkedIn? I was like, I feel like it might feel weird if I'm posting personal things on LinkedIn. So I'd love for you to debunk any of those rules that maybe we have in our head, like you can't post a reel on LinkedIn or you only can post super professional, buttoned up, fancy content. So let's talk about like what you see as kind of the rules of the platform.
Honestly, you've got to be yourself. Like there are no
Yeah.
rules. So I'll circle back to that. But
Yeah.
why are we on social media in the first place? If it is to grow a business and we are businesses, then that's the rule, right? What
Yeah.
are the rules of your business? Okay. And so, okay, take it back to professionalism and how you are in the world and who you are as a person and a business and what that represents. Because really, LinkedIn is just yet another shop front. That's all it
Hmm.
is. Okay. And so, yes, it comes with other people's expectations potentially. But the thing that always stops us succeeding is us.
Right.
It's never
Yes.
other
Yes.
people. And the thing that stops us is being embarrassed in front of people who maybe we used to work with. They possibly don't even use it. And
Yeah.
so we're holding ourselves back because of people who couldn't give 2 cents about what we think about.
Right.
Um, and also what I used to always say when I worked in media, because I used to work on, let's say, banking clients or financial clients, and people would be like, well, the CEO only listens to this show. And I'd be like, no, the CEO is a dad. The CEO, fine, golfs, but the CEO also goes to like Funky Monkey with his 4-year old and does whatever. Like he's not,
Real
he's not,
people.
he's not two-dimensional.
Yeah.
So you could find some customers in your old network. So it's like we have to kind of just be gentle with ourselves and trust in the people that we were friends with or the network that we had. And we have to sometimes ask ourselves, would I help somebody if they asked for my help? Yeah. So then it's like, okay, as long as you don't do it like in a really pushy, creepy, annoying way, then people
Mm-hmm.
will help, you know?
Hmm.
So, and that's the same on LinkedIn. And because I said I'd circle back to it,
Yeah.
do they prefer certain things? Yeah, sure. They are going through a bit of like a bit of a thing at the moment. Look, LinkedIn is a bit clunky, okay? They had some really cool creators, younger creators who were pushing the boundaries. And then they kind of pulled the brakes a little bit and went, no, well,
Okay.
actually, LinkedIn is professionalism, blah, blah, blah. Brand, okay? But I was recently at their video academy because
Uh-huh.
they have like a new video feed.
Okay.
And they were like, look, our most popular videos, i.e., the ones that they're going to like push for the algorithm,
Yeah.
are more professional. So, what I would therefore think is, what is professional in your business?
Right.
So, what does
Hmm.
professionalism look like in your business? And if you can communicate that through that lens, then that's fine. Do you
Yeah.
know? What is a professional day in a direct seller? Like,
Hmm.
you know, that's what you should be communicating. But ultimately, you need to communicate the desires of your customers and of future teams. And that's what you
Hmm.
need to tap into. It doesn't matter whether it's on Instagram or LinkedIn. And what I love about LinkedIn, I
Uh-huh.
don't work for them, by the way, and they don't pay me, by the way, any of this, is that they're not fussy about you leaving a TikTok watermark on your post.
Mhm.
They're not fussy about you leaving a Reels Instagram watermark on your post. There's this guy who I adore. His name is Rob Mayhew, and he
Mhm.
was the creative director for TikTok. And he famously, and still does, posts directly his TikToks onto LinkedIn. He doesn't change them. He literally posts them, and they are hugely popular on LinkedIn because he's tapped into the content insight. He
Uh-huh.
does like skits all around agencies because he
Okay.
wanted agencies to buy into TikTok. And so he does a skit around what it's like to be in an agency. And it's accurate, having worked in many agencies. And it's hysterically funny, although one of my former creative directors says it's actually too close to the bone and he feels PTSD if he watches some of them.
Can't watch it. Can't watch
Right, right. So
it.
that just shows you like you can
Right.
be creative on LinkedIn, but
I love
also a
that.
good old-fashioned selfie with the
Yep.
right message also still works, you know? And I
Right.
often joke about that over on Instagram and go, guess what? A photo still works to
Yeah.
promote your business on LinkedIn. Like,
Right.
remember that
Right.
Instagram, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So video, you're hearing video. Video's hot.
yeah.
A good old
Video is hot.
selfie.
Hmm.
Any other content that you're seeing that performs extra well on LinkedIn? Maybe that could be different than other platforms, or is it kind of the same
Listen,
kind of
like,
content
it's
that's
so
trending?
funny. It's so funny. So, what I say to people actually is let's leave aside the content. Comments help
Yeah.
grow
Yeah.
your visibility on LinkedIn.
Right.
Right? Again, back to what I was saying earlier. If you have a really good profile photo, head and shoulders, you
Mhm.
looking to camera, okay, really
Mhm.
clear. I'm sure I laid that point home in the masterclass, if I
Yes.
remember.
Get a good
No
picture.
hiding behind anything, you know, no,
Yeah.
no other shots, straight on, nice
Mhm.
head and shoulders. If you have a really clear front weighted LinkedIn headline, then
Mhm.
every time you comment in a kind, nice human way on other people's posts, you will be exposed to their network. So comments are content. I often say that comments are content. So like, you don't even have to produce anything. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
right? So now I wouldn't recommend that you go, that's a great post, Becky.
Right. Like
Like, you
leave
know,
an insightful comment,
right.
right?
It has to be insightful.
Yeah.
Also, beware of AI.
Mm-hmm.
because in using AI, because especially if you are selling and you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to build a relationship.
Yeah.
So if you just use AI and they go out, what AI tends to do is AI tends to read the post and respond about the post. But like, so for
Mm-hmm.
example, I've had it with other people who've commented, and I know
Mm-hmm.
how they are because I know them. The tone of the comment was my voice, not theirs.
Oh, that's
Do you know? Because it
interesting.
would use language that I would use, like absolutely. I'm sure the person who would have commented
Would
would
never
never
say that.
use
Yeah.
like that. He's just not
Yeah.
that enthusiastic.
Yeah.
He's a real deadpan guy, And I was like, when
Right.
you're using AI, I can tell it. I can tell. So
Yeah. Put it in
don't
your
take
voice.
shortcuts if you're trying to build a relationship,
Yeah.
and I think if you get your profile right and you start trying to build relationships by commenting, by being a nice human, well, who doesn't like a compliment,
Right.
That really works on LinkedIn,
I
really
love
does.
that. I
Mm.
love that. So good. Okay. And I mean, you were kind of leading this direction anyway, but it is. It's all about building relationships. And I feel like in the direct sales space, that's one thing that direct sellers are known for, being really good at serving their customers and connecting with people one-on-one and knowing their kids' names and knowing what's happening in their life and all of those things beyond just the product. So ultimately, we all know on pretty much any platform, the goal is to create this great content, right? Have some great engagement and then move it into more of a one-to-one conversation because that's really where you can kind of open the door to a sales conversation. It's probably not going to happen on your profile. So, any do's or don'ts when it comes to opening up conversations on LinkedIn? Because I feel like it is a little bit different than other platforms because you have the element of making a connection request and you can send a message when you request to connect with someone. So, I'd love to hear from your perspective, just any tips, do this, don't do that when it comes to sliding into those DMs.
Yeah, sure. With pleasure.
Yeah, yeah.
I have some fairly strong opinions on this.
Good, good. I'm here for it.
Um,
Give it to us.
like you don't have to have a message with your connection request always,
Hmm.
if the person seems like a relevant connection to me, I will say yes,
Yeah.
largely. People who won't might have loads of connections, and there
Okay.
is a limit. So I think it's
Hmm.
30,000. So there's a limit to the amount. I know there's a limit to the amount of connections. Now I have like 2,500, so I'm
Yeah.
ages away. So you pretty much guaranteed I'll say yes. So you don't necessarily, sometimes it helps,
Hmm.
especially if you've met them at networking. So maybe sometimes going, oh, it was great to see you there.
Right.
Or let's say you met at like a ball game or something like that's not very, like that's like it was with your kids or whatever. Or,
Right.
it was just out of context. Then yeah, it's really good just to give that person, this is how we
Connected.
met,
Hmm. Hmm.
and how are you? And then it's about building blocks,
Yeah.
So I know this is such a cliched analogy, but you don't go with a proposal like literally from a coffee date. You
Yeah.
don't go like, hey, will you marry me? Like without going,
Hmm.
what kind of coffee do you like? You just don't. So that kind of like copy and paste, like oof, all
Yeah.
about me, and my needs is wrong.
Yeah. I feel like you can see it from a million miles away too. Like I know,
I
like when I'm getting
know.
messages coming in,
You
I'm always like,
should, right? But
"Am ick,
Becky,
like not interested,
honestly,
no," or like, "Oh,
yeah,
real human, genuine, nice, okay,
yeah.
yeah."
It's so funny. And I think this can happen a lot in the direct seller category, is that
Sure.
there is such genuine passion
Yeah.
and love and understanding for the results that their
Right.
products can achieve that they can just go in too far, like an over enthusiastic puppy dog,
Yeah.
And it's just that they have all the knowledge. And what you have to pretend in your mind is that, I don't know, like maybe pretend like, let's go back to Harry Potter, that it's like you're talking to Snape or something, that they're really
Mhm.
like, I don't care. I don't want it. who are you? Right? And you just almost have to have a bit of fun in your mind and go, okay, I've got to convince someone who really does not want this. And I
Yeah.
just can't convince them. I have to attract them. I have
Hmm.
for them to ask me for information about it, not like tell them. They have to
Right.
go, oh, wow, that's so cool, actually. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's how a conversation happens, you know? And so I often say to people, going into the DMs is fine when you go, you've had a conversation like at networking, where you're in a big circle and there's a big topic of conversation, but you turn to the person beside you because they've just said something that's specific to you. And that's
Hmm.
like going into the DMs. It's like you've been talking on, let's say, a post,
Right.
or you've seen their profile and you go like, hey, I hope you don't mind me reaching out, but I really like your profile because of this. Or it
Hmm.
was great to see you with that. I'd love to talk. Or, you know, just giving people a reason. Then having the patience, the self-confidence and self-belief to wait.
Yeah. Yes,
To
such good
wait.
advice.
You
Yeah.
know, let them come back. Maybe they're not super active, or maybe they're going through a busy time. It's okay then a month later or a few weeks later to circle back and go, hey, I hope you don't mind me reaching out again, but I know my inbox can get super full. So I just thought I'd say hi again because I just loved our conversation, or I loved whatever. But give it a reason, like, you
Yeah.
know, and then build.
I love that.
And then over time, you know, go, gosh, you know, this has really worked for me. I don't know whether you have the same issue, but if you do, please don't hesitate to ask. You know, I'd love to offer you this, that, or the other, you know?
So good. So good. And I mean, I feel like that's great advice no matter what platform you're on, right? And so I think that again just kind of highlights that people on LinkedIn are still real humans, just like they are on Facebook or Instagram and opening up conversations. We do it in the same way. It's genuine, it's authentic. After we've built that no like trust, we've attracted people in, they're intrigued, right? Like having that conversation is important, but also being patient and not word vomiting on people and oversharing to the point that they're like, I'm not interested at all, right? So I love that. What other features do you think are really important for direct sellers to explore on LinkedIn? Because there are some things that do look a little bit different than other platforms. Are there certain areas that you'd say, yes, like you should definitely check out this area of LinkedIn?
Like I can't say it enough, get your profile right.
Profile.
Get
Just
your
start with the
headline
profile.
right. Get that
Yeah.
profile smoking. But then within the profile, for your you can have three pinned, well, more, but generally speaking, on a desktop, you will see three pinned posts.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to find out more, if they've come over to your profile because of content that you've shared,
Mm-hmm.
then it really makes sense to have three pinned pieces of content. And they
Yep.
should be how, like, for example, for a direct seller, your best product. You
Love that.
know, a call, if you do a consult call, it should be a
Hmm.
consult call link. And
Hmm.
then it should be potentially a testimonial, you
I
know?
love that.
And so
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be something that's viral. A lot of people make that mistake. They think, oh, well, that piece of content did really well, so I have to pin that one. No, wrong. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Do
that's
not
valuable
that
real estate. That's what people are going
yeah,
to see. They're pretty big and visual when you land on somebody's profile. I know exactly the
yeah.
spot you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely
Okay.
utilize that. If you
Okay.
have if you have the next level, like a premium membership of LinkedIn, then you can have like a link that will go and accompany your posts, which could be like book a call with me, or it links to like your website, or a consult call, or book an appointment with me. So you can adjust those. And then, like, I know this sounds so ridiculous and simple, but it's often those points that people completely miss, which is
Yeah.
make sure your contact details are up to date, because someone could be reaching out to you, but it's
Uh-huh.
gone to like an email you had in your first job. You know what I mean? And you
Right.
never check it anymore, you know? And so make sure that you just look at those things because you could be just missing opportunities, you know?
Yeah, I feel
Um,
that way on any profile. You go back and look at it, even like 6 months later, and you're like, oh, like I gotta tweak that or update this, right? So that's such a great reminder. Oh, love that,
yeah.
Elaine. Okay, we are not too far from 2025, which is mind-blowing to me. But how do you see LinkedIn evolving or any trends that you think we should be ready for going into the new year?
I think that if you can be on video, you
Mm-hmm.
should. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to say you've got to do video, but if it's if you would like to do video, if if it's in your toolkit, if you have time to dedicate to video, it would be time well invested because they've created a video. They have their feed. They are backing video. They've got a video academy, so they're supporting video. And like any algorithmic platform, when they decide that they're backing something, they tend to favor that particular aspect. Also, like I said, it could be a video that you've made from another platform, you know? So
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be purpose built for LinkedIn, but keep in mind the kind of things that work on LinkedIn behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
company or industry information, your
Mm-hmm.
professional journey. So it just needs a like more of a professional aspect to it. But, remember, that doesn't mean corporate. That means
Yeah.
professional. And so, whatever professional is to you, they have a whole campaign around that. Professional nowadays is very different to what it was. It does not necessarily mean corporate, you know? And so, for 2025, I think that's the thing to watch. But don't discount what they have already. All you have to do, though, is think about it. Think about it. So, would you spend lots of time with somebody that you really don't know unless they're someone you've paid to go see, like in a movie or something, right? You
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't. Therefore, would you spend loads of time reading an article from somebody that you don't know? Probably not. Would you spend lots of time with somebody who you really admire and love? Yes. Therefore, would you read an article from somebody you really admire and love? Yes. And so it's not the things, it's how
Mm-hmm.
you use them. And so, it's just thinking they've got all these tools that you can use, like their events, their lives. They're all appropriate, and people will engage with them depending on how you promote them and how much time you spend on the platform and how you show up. So just think, like maybe do a LinkedIn poll or maybe do sometimes text. Remember, if you go scrolling through your feed on LinkedIn, what'll stop you will stop other people.
Mm-hmm. Very
So
true.
think about the people you recognize from your networking. Oh, I know that person. Oh, there's Becky. Hang on. What she got to say? Oh, so then post a photo with you. But
Yeah.
I'm only going to really be interested in engaging with it and commenting on it if it's relevant for me. So, as much as your beautiful face would stop me, the insight and the comment or what you're going to put in the caption has to be relevant to me. And so, you know, trends video, but like actual success is about getting that human psychology right in your content, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so good. So I think just to recap, tell me if I'm on track here, right? Start with your profile. You got to have a good profile picture, got to have a good headline at the top. Focus on your profile first. Think of content not just as the content you're creating, but also the comments that you're leaving and how you're engaging with others. You can layer in a whole lot more, but tap into video just like we're doing on our other platforms. And I love that we can repurpose it. I love that because we're all creating reels and short form videos in other places. So bring that on over to LinkedIn and just kind of take it with a professional lens, right? So maybe it's not all personal, but we're making sure that we're showing up, not necessarily corporately, but professional. I get it? That sum it up?
Yeah, you've got an A right there.
Oh, I'm a good student. I'm feeling so proud of myself. I didn't even take notes. Oh my
I
gosh.
would
Okay,
say, like, especially on LinkedIn, the danger is that people sometimes enter LinkedIn and start becoming like a robot.
yeah,
It's okay to come straight
show your
over from
personality.
Instagram with your Instagram vibe on and just be yourself on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. You know, the professionalism is that it's okay to talk about your business. That, like, people love that on LinkedIn. But you can talk about your business using like the language that you use everywhere else, you know? Just be yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, speaking of being yourself, I'm going to ask you the hardest question of the hour. What is your favorite office supply, Elaine?
Well, I have a bit of a penchant for colorful journals, so I do.
Yes.
Colorful pens, you know, so I love a good old, turquoise pen.
I love that.
I
I
love
love that.
I love journals that are like, it's a good day for a good day. Anything to cheer me up, as I open it in the morning is great, you know?
Positive. Give me all the positivity. I'm here for it.
Yeah, bring it on.
Oh my gosh. Well, this was incredible. Elaine, I know we are going to find you on LinkedIn, but where else can we learn more about your offers, how you're working with clients? And I think you have a freebie for us too, right?
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Becky. Yeah, I do. Listen, come and connect with me. Like, I've got a good, like, what is it, 28,000 to go or 27,000?
Lots of connections open.
Come on. Come on over, connect with me, I'm on Instagram, Elaine, like really imaginatively called Elaine Walsh-McGrath.
There you go.
And my website is elainewalshmcgrath.com.
Okay.
So I'm super easy to find. I'm going to share the LinkedIn to Leads checklist with you. It's, if I do say so myself, Irish people, we're not very good at bragging, right? But if I do say so myself, it is a really useful checklist, really simple. It's a one pager, but it comes with a video tutorial. So I go through every single item and why you should actually take that action on LinkedIn so that you can literally, especially if you're new to LinkedIn, that you can go,
Perfect.
oh, okay, this is how I should be over here, or this is where I need to focus. And I share loads. So once you sign up for that, you'll just get loads of my other resources that I share. I'm a real creator. So
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
people on my list, they get lots of good stuff all around content, LinkedIn, and content strategy, and just growing their business because I just want people to do better than they are. And I just know there's so many fabulous businesses out there and they are not natural marketers, but that's okay. You've got people like me who've got like nearly 30 years experience who can help you with that.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so, so much for being here and sharing your journey with us and giving us so much knowledge when it comes to LinkedIn. I have a feeling many are probably listening in and starting to tinker with their profile already. So thank you. This was incredible. And I'm excited to continue to watch your journey and stay connected on LinkedIn and all the places. So I hope you have a great day today. Thank you, Elaine.
thank you so much, Becky. It's just been brilliant talking to you. Sure, look, I could talk all day about
I
LinkedIn.
know, me too, me too.
Well,
All
thanks so
right.
much for hosting
Thank
me. Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye. We are proud to welcome CinchShare as the newest sponsor of the Modern Direct Seller podcast. CinchShare is the #1 most trusted social media platform for network marketers, direct sellers, affiliates, independent consultants, virtual assistants, small businesses, and creators in any industry. Start your 30-day trial today with coupon code GameChanger and spend less time posting and more time socializing.